Greetings, my name is Martin. I am unsurprisingly a WoW player and sometimes surprisingly a 3D artist for a living. So for me, any day new item designs in WoW are announced is a good day. Today we get the announcement of January's trading post and it looks red. Last month was blue, so this makes sense. Scarlet Crusade, Silver Moon, Winter Veil, this is the Eye of Kilrock. Let's look into that. Alright, let's get started with the mount. We have the Savage Crimson Battle Turtle. It is pretty much Blastoise, but on fire. I think it's a very well textured mount, first of all. The entire skin looks very nice. And then we also have a couple of straps across the back. We have the guns on the side and the bullets on the back. In the middle we can sit and a shield here in the front with some decorative horns. And all of this is really nice looking. We have nice textures on it. We have nice modeling on it. Most of the details are actually modeled, not just textured. We have this bit of stitching, which is only textured. But for World of Warcraft, this is a really high quality model with some neat light effects on it as well. And even animations in the face and everything. So that's a really cool mount, even though it's probably not going to be super fast. Next up, we have the basic Crimson Sabatons, which are basic Crimson Sabatons. I don't think we have to talk a whole lot about them. Then we have the Crimson Winter Toque, which looks pretty much the same as the piece from last month, which was blue. This month it is red, even more Christmassy. Perfect. Next up, the Sorcerer's Brick Garb, a set that makes me think mostly about Harry Potter when I look at that hat. It looks very familiar to me. I wonder if it can speak. Well, it's an old wizard's hat. It comes with a fitting cloak. I'm not a big fan of the color. I hope that we will see more of this design for the future because I can see this work really well for certain mage characters. Next up we have another quiver and it is a Thalassian quiver, so we're already correct on the Blood Elf model. It's again a very nice design. It is a very Blood Elf design in the Blood Elf colors with this very smooth details on it. Very nice and perfect for any Blood Elf ranger. The Crest of Unending Woe. This will be available as a shield and as a back piece. I have to say I do not really agree with the color choice. It reminds me of that one kind of yellowish set from the Halloween event with this yellow glow and also the yellow glow from the Legion Remix set. I think this one would have gone way better with fell green or with some fire type color. Also the metal color doesn't really fit in my opinion. So while I really like the design of this damaged Pit Lord head, I do not like any of the colors that were used, neither for the shield nor for the back piece. The Iron Chain Kini, a very unique item. What I already noticed is the shape doesn't really change, so it kind of stays the same whether you use the male or female model. I'm not sure if this is intended, but yeah, if we switch to the female model, it will look the way you would expect it. But if you switch to the male, it is not adjusted to the male body. So you have these gaps in here. And yeah, looks a little unusual with that. Then we have the next two sets, which I find really interesting. A Modest Look for a Modest Life is the first one, Villagers City Collection. And what we have here is a somewhat medieval baker outfit. Like this is a very typical baker hat, I think. Feel free to correct me if you're more familiar with medieval civil clothing than I am. I really like the gloves actually. Those can find use in many sets. Also the boots look pretty nice. I do find it a little bit sad that we have not a whole lot of details that are actually modeled. It's again very texture heavy. This is texture, this is texture. The straps over the arms are texture. So this is a little disappointing on that end. But besides that, with all the housing stuff, I hope we are going to see a couple more of these, more modest looks for modest lives. And I think it also actually works a little bit better on the female model, even though there it's the same situation. We're really missing some 3D details. It is all just textures, which is a little bit boring and really misses out on some character. And then we have the villagers' city attire, which looks like that. So here I think it's even more noticeable. Also the belt doesn't really stick out, and I think it was even worse on the male model again. The belt doesn't stick out, the sleeves, the gloves, it looks kind of weird. So I'm not really sure if this is the final version yet. This reminds me a lot of the first version of the Monk set we got to see when the Season 1 tier sets were shown for the first time. Even though that wasn't in the 3D viewer, it was just screenshots, so we'll see how they come out. But as of now, compared to the other set with the gloves, that was way better, and already not that good on the entire chest piece and so on. The belt, the gloves, why? As we already had the Thalassian quiver, of course we also have the Thalassian recruit's bow. Let's look at that one. Again, a very simple but very well designed bow. So if you're looking for a more down-to-earth, low fantasy kind of Blood Elf Hunter equipment, this bow should be part of your collection. Then we have the Axe of the Crimson Crescent. And this one I like really much. Again, I would have preferred a tiny little more actual 3D features. Again, lots of texture, but it looks really nice. I really like the shape. It is a little more Horde and a little less Blood Elf, but it works for both pretty well. If we wouldn't have gone the boomstick route with the survival hunters in Midnight, I would have totally seen this one as a main and offhand for Blood Elf survival hunters. But with the boomstick, of course, nothing ever makes sense. We do not talk about the boomstick, but cool axe. And then we have the Shield of Unending Woe. So this is pretty much the exact same as we've seen before with the back piece. I still don't like the colors, even though it's 1.5 minutes later now. Next up, the Crusader's Ruby Blade. And yeah, I think this section here is very big. So this is big on the ceremonial side of things, not really the typical weapon you would maybe carry into battle. Now I see how it's supposed to be this like Crimson Scarlet Crusade kind of weapon, but also with a little bit of Blood Elf vibes in it. What I find interesting is that this inset here looks a little bit like the typical church windows. It has this kind of shape and also the glass, but all in all, I'm not a big fan. I mean, it's an interesting design. I am sure some people are gonna like it for very specific transmog, but yeah, it's nothing too special in my opinion. Next up, we have the mace. The mace is kind of fun. I like this piece back here. I like also the spiky bit. It could have maybe, no, this is the one-handed. I wanted to say that it could have been a little longer, but this is the one-handed version. So the length actually works pretty well. This section works pretty well too. The only thing I find really odd is this like, let's not call it a Nurgle symbol, but yeah, that I find a little bit off-putting. It just looks off. It doesn't really fit the style in my opinion. If they would have just gone for a circle or for another square around it, I think this would have worked better. Like this, I don't like it very much. So here we now have the two-handed version of the sword on a Blood Elf. As I say, I see this as somewhat of a Blood Elf weapon, but it can obviously also be for the humans of the Scarlet Crusade. It's a nice blade shape, but this whole situation back here is not really my style. Then the Great Mace, so this will be the two-handed version now. Again, I like most of it. I think the spikes are a little bit over the top, but yeah, you can have it like that. But this three-circle kind of situation in the middle, I don't like it very much. And then we have the final bit. We have the vengeful regalia of the Crusader. This looks a lot like a cloth set. It's very reminiscent of the questing set we got in Season 1. The headpiece looks like it is straight from a church. Then we have a slight little bit of Paladin Tier 6 vibes on the shoulders, but also the more clothy look. So you can clearly see that this set is a mixture of cloth and plate elements. Yeah, I don't think it is very well made. The sleeves look kind of fun. I can see those work in some versions. The trousers, I think, look absolutely awful. The skirt version will definitely be the better choice. And again, as with the Townfolk sets we've seen before, it's again a lot of texture and not a lot of sculpting going on. Nothing on the arms is sculpted. The belt looks like it is just part of the overall set. It is only the buckle bit and the hanging down bit that are actually modeled. In the case of the chest, I'm not even sure if this centerpiece is just textured very well in this case, or if it is actually modeled, at least like the part that sets the top and bottom piece apart. I'm not really sure. On the female model, it looks a little more like it is modeled. On the male, it looks a lot like it is textured. So it's really unfortunate that at this point, this set hasn't been added to the model viewer. But I also want to point out that the set last month also wasn't complete in this preview screenshot. So we might see things change about this when it goes live. It's still a couple of days until that happens. But on the first view, I'm not a big fan of this set. And that was it for this month. What do you think? Is this going to be a spend month or a save month? For me, I think it's going to be one of the biggest save months ever. I might get the quiver and the bow because I kind of like them, but then also with the disappointing development around the survival hunter in Midnight, I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna. Oh, and the chain kini, obviously, like that's a must-have. That's 100% must-have. Feel free to leave a comment, let me know what you think about this month's trading post. Feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with next month's trading post or are interested in any of my other videos, because this is obviously not the only time a month that I crawl out of my hole to make a video. There's plenty more on this channel, so feel free to subscribe. Feel free to like if you enjoyed the video. This was the Eye of Kilrook. See you next time.